Now we are going to discuss about gamma ray emission. Gamma rays emitted by radioactive elements have high energies even greater than the energies of characteristic X-rays from K level of those atoms. This shows that gamma rays are emitted from the nucleus. Experimentally, it is observed that gamma ray spectrum is always in the form of sharp lines. Thus, nuclei exist in state of definite energies like atoms. Moreover, nuclear energy levels are characteristics of a particular nucleus. It has been proved that gamma rays arise from the transition of a nucleon from one energy state to another. When a nucleus emits an alpha particle or a beta particle, the daughter nucleus may be left in an excited energy state. Excited nucleus now returns to a less excited or sometimes to the ground state by emitting gamma rays. The energies correspond to the energy differences between the various initial and final states in the transitions involved. The gamma rays emitted by nuclei range in every up to several MeV. Experiments have shown that gamma rays are in fact emitted by the daughter nucleus after the alpha or beta particles are emitted by the parent nucleus. Let us consider the case of RAT, which is a lead isotope Pp82-210. The decay is expressed by the following equations. To excited state, Pb82-210 gives rise to Bi83-210 in excited state plus E minus 10 plus nu. From excited state to ground state, Bi83-210 gives rise to Bi83-210 in ground state plus gamma rays. The emissions with energy level diagram as shown in the below figure. When Pb82-210 nucleus emits beta particle and a neutrino, it has been observed that the end point energy is 18 keV. Now, Bi83-210 nucleus will be in the excited state. There will be a transition from excited state to ground state, which is accompanied by the gamma emission of gamma rays. The of gamma rays will be 47 keV. Here it should be remembered that Bi83-210 nucleus is also radioactive, which emits beta particles and becomes Pb84-210. Conservation laws in the gamma emission. Following are the conservation laws in a gamma emission. First one, conservation of charge and nucleon number. Conservation of charge and nucleon number. The charge and mass number remains conserved in gamma emission. The reason is that gamma photon has neither change nor mass. XZA tends to XZA ground state plus gamma rays. Next is conservation of linear and angular momenta. The linear and angular momenta remain conserved in the process of gamma emission. We know that linear momentum of a photon is h nu by c. So, the gamma ray emission must make the daughter nucleus recoil with the same linear momentum in opposite direction if parent nucleus is at rest. For conservation of linear momentation, mv plus h nu by c equals to 0, where capital M is the mass of daughter nucleus and v is its velocity. Since the parent nucleus and daughter nucleus have the same number of nucleons, hence they have the same spin angular momentum. Next is conservation of mass energy. In the process of gamma emission, the mass energy remains conserved. Let EI and EF be the energies of higher excited and lower excited ground states. Then the frequency nu of emitted photon is given by EI minus EF equals to h cut nu, where nu is the frequency of a gamma ray photon. Next is conservation of momentum. According to conservation of momentum, for any reaction to take place, the total momentum before the decay should be equal to the momentum after the decay process. Consider the example of pair production. Gamma plus gamma is tends to E minus plus E plus. E minus is electron and E plus is positron. Here the radiation is converted into matter. Let the momenta before decay process be P1 and P2 respectively. If after decay the momenta are P3 and P4, then according to law of conservation of momentum, P1 plus P2 equals to P3 plus P4. Consider the head-on collision of photons of equal momenta A. The total momentum before decay becomes 0 and after collision P3 plus P4 equals to 0. This means that pair of electron and positron has 0 momentum after collision. Next is electron positron pair reaction by gamma photons in the vicinity of a nucleus. At high energies, both the photoelectric absorption and Compton scattering become unimportant and the phenomenon of pair production takes place. In pair production, when a gamma photon with sufficient energy disappears in the Coulomb's field of atomic nucleus, an electron and a positron are created as shown in the figure. Thus, gamma gives rise to E minus, which is called as electron, plus E plus positron. Here, the electron and positron form a pair of particles and hence the process is called as pair production. The total energy of pair production is equal to the photon energy. The kinetic energy of a pair is given by E equals to h nu minus 2 m naught c square. So, for pair production, h nu must be greater than 2 m naught c square. Because a minimum amount of energy 2 m naught c square is required to supply the rest energy of two particles for the charge to be conserved, an opposite charge must be formed. Energy level diagram is as shown in the below figure. The variation of absorption of gamma rays with photon energy for lead is as shown in the figure. At a very low energy, the photoelectric absorption is the chief source of absorption. This absorption decreases with increasing energy of photon. Now, Compton scattering starts. The Compton scattering is predominant at energies about 1 MeV. When the energy of photon is above 1.02 MeV, pair production becomes dominant, where photoelectric absorption and Compton scattering. It should be noted here that at high energies, the absorption is almost completely caused by pair production. Total absorption curve is as shown in the figure. It is obvious from the curve that the total absorption coefficient curve has a minimum at energies where Compton scattering and pair production effects become comparable. And these are the a few examples of numericals. And next is nuclear fission. In 1939, two German scientists Otto Hahn and Strassmann discovered that when uranium Z equals to 92 was bombarded with neutrons, it splits up into two separate fragments, which were identified as barium. Z is 56 and krypton Z is 36. They also observed that these two fragments travel in opposite directions with tremendous speed. It was further observed that in splitting of uranium, enormous energy is released because the original nucleus have a greater mass than the sum of masses of two fragments, and this decrease a mass appears as the energy in accordance with Einstein equation E equals to mc square. The reaction is represented as U92-235 plus N01, which tends to Ba56-141 plus Kr3692 plus 3N01 plus energy. The disintegration process in which heavy nucleus, after capturing a neutron, splits up into two lighter nuclei of nearly equal masses is called fission of the nucleus or nuclear fission. Next is theory of nuclear fission. Bohr and Wheeler explained the process of nuclear fission using the liquid drop model. According to this model, the stable nucleus may be regarded as a spherical drop. The nucleons are held together by the short range forces which are represented by surface tension of liquid. The shape of the drop depends upon the balance between surface tension force and Coulombic repulsive forces. When a nucleus undergoes fission, it captures low or thermal neutron and a compound nucleus is formed. The nucleus is in a state of higher energy and is set up in oscillations. These oscillations tend to distort the spherical shape so that the drop becomes ellipsoid in the shape as shown in the figure. The restoring force of the nucleus, which arises from the short range internuclear forces, that is surface tension forces, now tend to make the drop return to its original spherical shape, while the extra energy tends to distort the shape still further. If the excitation energy and hence oscillations are sufficiently large, the ellipsoid narrows as and attains a dumbbell shape as shown in the figure 11d. If the excitation energy is too large, the oscillations will be too violent and then the Coulombic repulsive forces will push the two nuclear loops of the dumbbell apart from each other. The two parts are assumed to be spherical and positively charged. This step leads to fission as shown in the figure 11e. In this step, the two fragments are separated at a very high velocity accompanied by emission of some neutrons. Generally, the two fission fragments are not of the same size. As neutron ratio for heavy nuclei is higher than lighter nuclei, hence they contain excess of neutrons. To reduce this excess, the fragments release 2 or 3 neutrons as soon as they formed. Subsequently, the fragments emit beta rays to bring neutron or proton ratio to stable values. Here, it should be remembered that there is a threshold energy or critical energy required to produce stage D, after which the nucleus cannot return to its original state due to Coulomb repulsion of two parts. The value of critical deformation energy E critical was first calculated by Bohr and Wheeler on the liquid drop model. It is given by the relation E critical equals to 0.89 a power 2 by 3 into 0.02 z into z minus 1 divided by a power 1 by 3 MeV, where A is atomic mass of compound nucleus, Z is its atomic number. With the help of above equation, the condition for fission process is 0.22 z square by a power 1 by 3 greater than 0.89 a power 2 by 3. This shows that a U-238 nucleus requires more total energy than U-235 to initiate fission. Next is a chain reaction between the nature of fragments and the emission of neutrons. The chain reaction is a process in which the nuclear fission of an atom includes nuclear fission in another atom, which again includes fission in another atom, and so on. During every fission process, neutrons are emitted which attack other atoms, causing fission. The number of neutrons goes on multiplying rapidly during fission process till whole of the fissionable material is disintegrated. Let us consider the chain reaction in uranium-235. When uranium-235 nucleus is bombarded by slow neutrons, the nucleus is broken into two parts, barium and krypton. The process is accompanied by the emission of 3 neutrons. Nearly 200 MeV energy is produced as a result of fission of one uranium nucleus. The neutrons produced in this process further attack on other uranium nuclei and produce fission. Now, more neutrons are released and an enormous amount of energy is produced. This process continues and the series of fission reaction is called a chain reaction as shown in the figure. If this process is allowed to proceed controlled, the whole thing is done in almost no time and an enormous magnitude of energy released. Next is difficulties and their removal. It appears that the chain reaction process is very simple but is not so simple due to the following reasons. First one is there is a possibility for neutrons produced by fission to escape collisions with any nucleus because they may go out of uranium. To avoid this difficulty, the uranium is taken in the form of large sphere. Moreover, a critical mass of uranium is taken because if the mass is less than the critical mass, chain reaction cannot take place. Second point is the second difficulty is that every neutron entering a uranium nucleus does not produce fission. Some neutrons are captured by uranium-238 which remains abundant in natural uranium. This difficulty cannot be reduced either by separating U-238 from U-235 or slowing down the fast neutrons by using moderator like graphite or heavy water. Now the probability of absorption of neutrons by U-238 is reduced and the same time the probability of fission with U-235 is increased. This is due to the fact that fission of U-238 is possible with fast neutrons while that of U-235 with slow neutrons. The chain reaction is of two types. First one is uncontrolled chain reaction. If the process of fission is not controlled, a terrible explosion takes place almost in no time. This process takes place in an atom bomb. Second one, controlled chain reaction. If the fission reaction and the corresponding energy release is controlled over an extended period, then the energy produced can be used for useful purposes. This is also called a nuclear reactor or nuclear pile. Next is energy released in nuclear fission. When a heavy nucleus undergoes a fission process, a large amount of energy is released together with the emission of neutrons which further produce fission. This energy is known as nuclear energy or atomic energy. The amount of energy released in nuclear fission may be obtained by the method known as a mass defect method. That is the difference between the mass of initial nucleus and the masses of nuclei produced by fission. This difference of mass converted into energy according to Einstein's mass energy relation E equals to mc square, where m is the mass converted into energy and c is the velocity of light. For example, consider the fission of uranium U-235. Z is 92 into barium 134, Z is 56, and krypton 92, Z is 36 by slow neutrons. This reaction is given by U92-235 plus N01 gives rise to U92-236 gives rise to BA 56-141 plus KR 3692 plus 3N01 plus Q. Let us estimate the actual masses before and after the fission reaction. Actual mass before the fission reaction, mass of uranium nucleus is 235.125 AMU. Mass of neutron is 1.009 AMU. Therefore, total mass is 236.133 AMU. Next is mass of barium nucleus Ba141 is 140.958 AMU. Mass of krypton nucleus Kr92 is 91.926 AMU. and mass of 3 neutrons is 3.026 AMU. Therefore, total mass is 235.910 AMU. Now, mass decrease during nuclear reaction is 236.133 minus 235.190, that is 0.223 AMU. Corresponding energy release is 0.223 into 931, which is approximately equals to 200 MeV. Let us calculate the energy released by the fission of 1 kg of uranium 235. We know that atomic weight of U-235 is 235. There are N equals to 6.023 into 10 power 26 atoms in 235 kg of U-235. Therefore, number of U-235 atoms in 1 kg, N equals to 6.023 into 10 power 26 divided by 235. Energy released by calculating, we get to 22.8 into 10 power 6 kWh.